everyone, this is Dawn. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make two cards using the Layered Butterflies thin cut set along with oxide inks. So this is the thin cut set, and these butterfly dies are huge. They're awesome. And then I'm also going to use You Are Enough. I'm going to use the thank you sentiment. So let's get started. I'm going to use the large background butterfly thin cut as sort of a guide as to where I'm going to lay my oxide down. So I'm just putting down a loose pencil outline of this thin cut, and I'm going to use it as a guide. And then I'm going to tack my cardstock to my glass mat using temporary adhesive. And now I kind of know where the center of the butterfly should be and where I should lay color down. So I'm going to start with spiced marmalade, and then I'm going to move on to wild honey, and then the outside color is going to be mustard seed. And I quickly discovered that there wasn't enough contrast between the wild honey and the spiced marmalade. So I'm going to bring in some candy apple in a second, but first I'm going to get the yellow colors laid down, and then I'll go back and start adding some more contrast. Okay, so now I have some candy apple, and I'm going to put that in the center, and then it's going to gradually go out to yellow. I just felt like I needed more, some darker colors in the center and more contrast. So just going to go back and forth between all of my colors and blend it out to the lightest yellow color, the mustard seed. And I think that's going to work. Okay, so now let's get all this stuff out of the way and we'll move on. I'm going to use the black ore paper for the detail butterfly thin cut. So off camera, I layered this onto some double-sided tape, and I quickly learned later on that it doesn't work too well with the ore paper and the oxide inked panels, so don't do that. So I ran this through, and I had to go through several times back and forth just because I'm going through a lot of layers, and that ore paper is super thick, so which makes it awesome, but you do have to make sure that everything cuts. So now I'm just going to poke everything out using my piercing tool. Okay, so I'm going to bring my Big Shot back in, and I've set my outline butterfly die up on a piece of white daisy cardstock at roughly the same angle as when I laid it out to trace around it. And I'm cutting this out. So when you run it through, make sure your die is over the edge of the paper in the same way, okay? So now I've got everything lined up, and I'm going to stamp my sentiment. So I'm going to use the soft side of my Versamat, and I'm just going to stamp the thank you above the butterfly in black ink. I'm going to keep everything simple just because the colors with this detailed die, it has a wow factor to it, so I wanted to keep it simple. Okay, so I've stamped that out, and now I'm ready to start building my card. So I've got a regular card base, and this is A2 at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then I'm going to lay my overlay onto my oxide inked panel, just using Tombow tape runner. So I'll attach that, and then I'll attach my black ore die cut detailed butterfly. And as I was saying earlier, this is a sticker, but I quickly found out that it doesn't adhere very well to the oxide panel, so I wound up off camera using liquid glue to make sure that it stuck completely. But I've got it down now, and the portion of the butterfly that's hanging over the right edge, I'm going to turn the panel over and just cut that excess off with scissors. Super simple. Okay, and then I'll just attach that whole panel to my card front using some Tombow tape runner. And the panel's just a smidge smaller than the card front, so there's kind of a white double border there. Okay, and for the last step, I'm going to add some of these bitty sparkles to the top of the butterfly antenna, just for a little bit of extra sparkle. And that's the finished card. Love those bright colors of the oxide inks. There's some close-up shots. And now we can make another one. Okay, so same process. And I'm going to use purple colors this time. So I'm going to trace my butterfly on my card panel just so I have an idea of where to place my blending with the different colors. And I'm going to start with Dusty Concord, and then I'm going to move on to Wilted Violet, and then Shaded Lilac for the outer edges. So this butterfly, I'm going to try using all 3 of the large dies. And this is the first time using this set, so I'm kind of just experimenting here too. So I'm going to blend out all these 3 colors on this panel and just go back and forth until I like what I see. And as far as, because I'm going to be doing overlays with this, I'm not being too careful with the blending. I'm just getting color down on the panel. Okay, so now I'm going to bring some of the pearl paper in, and this is what I'm going to make my detail overlay with. Okay, so I'm going to bring my Big Shot in and a piece of the pearl paper, and I'm going to cut out the detail butterfly with this paper. And it's thick, so I went back and forth several times. Okay. And then I'm going to cut out my oxide panel using the middle die. So there's 3 of them that are this large butterfly. So I'm going to use the middle one that has thicker lines. Run that through. And then I'll poke out all of those extra bits using my piercing tool. Okay, so now because that middle die did have some cutouts, I needed a backing of some darker colors for some contrast when I layer all the 3 pieces together. So I'm going to use Blueprint Sketch and Wilted Violet and do a blend of these 2 colors for the background. I wanted something darker so that the middle die that I did with the lighter purples will pop a little bit more. And I just love these 2 colors blended together. It's so pretty. Okay, so I'm going to bring my Big Shot back in, and then I'm going to cut the large outline base butterfly shape with this oxide panel. So I have 3 layers. Okay. So pretty. Okay. So I've got my 3 layers there. And then I felt like that middle layer needed to be lightened up just a bit. And so I'm going to spritz it with some shimmer spritz from Sukaniko. And off camera, I blotted it with a paper towel to kind of lighten up that cutout. Okay, so now I'm just going to kind of place them down on my piece of white daisy cardstock to kind of figure out where I want it to be. And then I can stamp my thank you sentiment in black ink. It's going to be the same card design as the other one. Get that down. These are great cards if you don't want a lot of bulk on your cards. They still have a big impact and they're so pretty, but you won't have all the lumps and bumps for mailing. So I'm just layering these 3 dies together using white glue. I've decanted it into this particular applicator just so I can get a fine bead of glue. It's the Tombow white. I'm just layering these all 3 together and gluing them. Then I'll add it to this panel. And I'll just glue that down using some Tombow tape runner and a little bit of wet glue as well. And it's off the edge. And I'll flip it over and cut off that excess. And then I'll layer this panel onto an A2 card base with Tombow tape runner. So this special You Are Enough is available beginning May 1st while supplies last. And you can get just the dies if you want the layered butterflies dies. You can get a bunch of different supplies in a bundle at a discount. And I will put all of the details, a link in the description below, where you can find more information and make your purchase. And there's my finished card. So pretty. These layered dies are fun to work with. So I appreciate you watching my video today. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. And thanks for watching.